Welcome to Coffee Break with the Chamber Chicks, where community, commerce, and conversation all come together over a good cup of coffee. And I'm your host, Beth, with the White County Chamber. Today, we're sitting down with Gilbert Barrett of Cleveland's Farmers Exchange to talk about the most essential connections in our community, the relationship between farm and city. From the fields that feed us to the businesses that keep our towns thriving, agriculture plays a powerful role in White County and across America. So pour yourself another cup and join us. It's time for Coffee Break with the Chamber Chicks. Hey everybody, and thanks for joining us for Coffee Break with your Chamber Chicks. I'm Beth.
And I'm Kayla.
And we're your favorite Chamber Chicks. And we're here today in celebration of Farm City Month. Really, we're going to be talking about it all month long with our friend and neighbor, Gilbert Barrett of Farmers Exchange in Cleveland. Thanks for joining us, Gilbert.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Beth.
I mean, quite the advocate for agriculture. You cover a lot of ground, not just Cleveland, but all over the state in talking about ag and things that are important to White County and our region. And thanks for taking time to visit with us.
Absolutely.
Good deal. Well, sometimes people, when they think about White County, they think about small business, right? But ag is a really big economic driver for us. What does agriculture in White County look like today?
Sure. So agriculture is very important. It is the largest industry in White County. And it also is, not only does it provide us, agriculture is important because we all like to eat, right? Yeah. I'm a foodie. I love to eat.
We like
you
to
can tell
wear
it.
clothes.
Yeah, and we like to be warm. We like to have houses to live in. So, it's such a part of our lives, but we don't think about it, right? So, but what does it do for White County? What's the largest industry in this county? So each year, the value of the raw product produced in White County is significant. We have 159 counties, and out of 159 counties, White County ranks 64th in farm gate income. So that is the value of the product leaving the farm. So that's the raw product. That's before transportation, marketing, processing, or anything is it. So that's $101.8 million every year of raw agricultural product that's produced within the boundaries of White County. So that's pretty significant.
It's significant considering our population.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, and so what does that look like? Well, about 65% of that is poultry. So poultry is
king in
Georgia. And you're right, because it's not just a North Georgia thing. When you look at the entire, people look at South Georgia and think, man, that's the breadbasket of Georgia.
Sure.
And there's a lot of ag that happens down there. But let's back up. 38% of Georgia's entire farm gate is poultry.
Right.
So with that being the case, about 6 of your top 10 counties are in Northeast Georgia because of the poultry industry. And poultry is very important to White County's ag picture. And again, about 68% of the total farm gate value in White County is poultry and eggs. But second is livestock. 15% of the farm gate is livestock. Beef is still very strong here in White County, and beef and poultry coexist very well together, right?
Very easy to do
both. And then 8% of our farm gate in White County is row crop. And then,
which may surprise some people.
Yeah, it does.
Because we have corn.
Right, that's right.
Yep.
So there's some beans here in White County, and there's some small specialty crops and some vegetables and those type of things. And then 6.8% of our farm gate is fruit. Of course, that's the wineries.
The wineries.
And then 5% is agritourism. So, that, and then there are forestry and some other sectors, but they make up a small portion of that as well. Yeah.
So how has farming and just agricultural production changed over the years? So, I mean, whether you're talking technology or demand types of farms, what do you kind of think of when you think of the changes?
Sure. So one of the things, of course, one of the big changes is we have less resources, right? So we have a lot less land to farm than we did even 20 years ago. Yeah. So we're losing land. Why? Because urban sprawl is sprawling into North Georgia, and people love to live here. They love the environment. They love to see those green pastures.
They love to drive by those cows.
Right. And so with that is of course, I think it was one of the best places to live, North Georgia, and in the entire world. So
it's the most beautiful
and it is it brings folks in here. So we're losing resources, and so that is certainly a challenge. But also, farming has changed dramatically in that because 50 years ago there was some kind of farming connection to most families in this area. That's not necessarily the case now. But in addition to that, technology has changed, as you mentioned, and that, and so greatly. For instance, and I was born in 1964. So in 1964, one farmer produced enough food or produced enough agricultural products to feed and clothe 26 people. Today, one farmer produces enough to feed and clothe 169 people. So we're able to continue to farm and produce and to be a breadbasket of the world because of technology, because of better genetics, because of more environmentally sound practices, and able to utilize less resources in order to produce products. So that's one big change I see for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Farmers wildly efficient.
Yeah.
Right. They understand their resources and the limitations of them and use them well. And also our early days of White County, it was a lot of timber.
Yeah, there was.
A lot of timber. Yeah. And as that was harvested, then we developed into other farming practices.
That's right. And, there at one time it's been a cycle for, the Swiss settled in the Northeast Georgia area back in the 1800s, and they set up vineyards. Well, when Prohibition came through, and vineyards, and vineyards went away because we have the climate here is pretty adaptable and suitable for growing grapes. And then Prohibition came, so they started planting cotton, and there was a lot of cotton grown in White County. We had a lot of gins. My great grandfather had a gin. The Irvins had a gin at Lee. There were a lot of gins throughout White County. Then, of course, the Bowieville came through, and it became very hard. So that
then we started having dairies.
And there were a lot of dairies. In several in White County, a lot in North Hall, and.
The Urbans and the True Loves, and a lot of families that
had dairies, yeah, for sure. And so those, and then the milk, the government gets into milk pricing and a lot of other factors. But anyway, dairying has, we've lost across the state of Georgia a lot of dairies. And so, it does, it evolves. So, but poultry came through in the 1930s. My grandfather actually built poultry houses in White County in the mid-1930s.
Wow.
So
and you had to hand water everything.
Oh, yeah.
Light fires to keep them warm.
About technology and how things have changed. Now you got computers running things. So
walk in a chicken house these days.
So with all that said, it's amazing how things have evolved. And so we continue to see that. And I don't know that there is a more resilient person than the American farmer.
Absolutely.
Because when challenges come, they look for new ways and better ways in order to attack those challenges. And so that's what we've seen. We've seen it here in White County and throughout Northeast Georgia. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow, I got off track and forgot what question I had. That was so good. I just totally got off track. And agritourism, that's a new type of farming.
Yeah. In the last 20 years. Right. We see a lot of it, and it's throughout our region. It's become, so 5% of the farm gate in White County is agritourism, and so it because people are 2, 3, 4 generations removed from the farm, there's something within us that we want to get back to nature, right? We want to go. We want to have those experiences, and it's about a story, and so many times farmers are producing things. And as they're producing things, there's a story with it, and people love the story and they want to come and be a part of that story or experience it in some way. And that's so agritourism is taken off and flourished in several venues.
And that's really saved a lot of farms.
It has that, otherwise, because it's another revenue source that comes in. And particularly the apple industry. Apple industry is hurting in Western Carolinas, Northeast Georgia, but the agritourism, because wholesale prices on apples, we can't compete with Washington State and those. But to go buy apples, to pick apples, and to have that experience, you're selling an experience, and it allows them to continue to grow.
Apple pies at Jaymore Farms, you love those.
Absolutely. So, it's neat how the things have circled in, and people want to know where their food's coming from. They want to have that source.
That's the big
and we can
thing.
talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, that's the big thing. So we just get off track. I just get started listening to him, and I just. So even for people who don't work directly in agriculture, how does farming impact the daily lives of our White County citizens?
Sure. So agriculture is important because we eat it, we breathe it. We're it's part of our lives. We just many times don't recognize it, right? So, but it is important because not only does it provide us with food, shelter, and clothing, but it provides us with the bioproduct. When I said the bioproducts, the products that are the byproducts of agriculture that we don't even think about: pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, toothpaste, all of the plastics, fuel. Agriculture now, you fill up at the pump, and at least right at 10% of that fuel is ethanol. So how it touches our lives is phenomenal. But the other thing is it's just an economic engine. So if we were talked about, it's the largest industry in White County. It's the largest industry in Georgia. So it's an $83 billion output. That's B with a B, $1 billion output. So it's significant in that it is the largest economic engine that we have in our state. So it provides jobs. 1 out of every 7 Georgians work in some kind of agriculture-related job. So less than 2% of the total population in our nation are actively engaged in production agriculture. But 1 out of every 7 people here in our state work in some kind of ag-related field. So it provides us with over 320,000 jobs. Uniquely, Hall County's our neighbor just down the road. They have more agribusiness jobs than any other county in the state of Georgia. Right at the last, it's either 17 or 19,000 jobs in Hall County alone that are agribusiness related jobs. So again, it's an economic engine that provides us with jobs now. And so Georgia has been you want me to continue running down some rabbit holes? So Georgia has been voted for 12 years the best place to do business, right? And that's phenomenal. It's created a lot of things. The port is a major asset that we have in our state.
It helps us distribute a lot of that.
It does. It really does. But we're growing. We have a lot of businesses because of the port, because of our infrastructure, because of our transportation system. A lot of folks and because Hartsville, Atlanta, Jackson Airport, and so we got a lot of folks, the industries that are coming to Georgia, and so that's changing our state. And so one of the challenges we have is that here in the last, this is what I think. Here in the last 4 or 5 years, we are having more and more folks that are coming to our state and that we're creating jobs in manufacturing, which I think is phenomenal. However, a lot of those resources that they're building here and putting together are being shipped over from other countries, from China and many other countries across our globe. And we need companies that are coming in or using our products that we're producing in Georgia. So agriculture needs, because we are still the largest industry in this state, we need to make sure that we're bringing in industry that can coexist with agriculture, that can take agricultural products that are produced here in Georgia, and those can be manufactured and processed. So we need to be looking, I think, and at
What
those
complements
what
us.
complements us
Absolutely.
and complements the agricultural industry, because agriculture is viable. If we don't, because it's not just and I'm beginning to get myself, but it's a point of national security.
It is.
And we have not, and we're losing ground. And it's not just in North Georgia, or it's not just in our state, but across our nation, we're losing the ability to produce and have markets to sell in. And until 2023, in the history of trade, until 2023, we had not had a negative trade deficit in agriculture. In 2023, we had a negative trade deficit. This year, we're projected to have a $51 billion trade deficit. So in other words, we're importing more agricultural goods in than we're exporting out. Right now, about 35% of our fruits and vegetables that we consume are imported. So we have got to put the brakes on and reevaluate our trade policies and how we are able to continue to feed ourselves. Because when we can't feed ourselves,
That's when
it's one thing to be, reliant on foreign oil or other products, but when we can't, we have to be relying on our food supply coming from other people. That's a point of national security. So I think that's where agriculture is really can shine, in that we provide a stable economy, but also continue to be able to feed ourselves as a nation.
An economical but prolific ability to
Sure.
feed our people,
Yeah.
which we've had for generations
Right.
on generations.
And we have been the breadbasket of the world, but what we've allowed now is have allowed, because of foreign aids, and then it gets really
messy.
convoluted. But we are now again in way between NAFTA and wherever your political allegiance lies. There's all kind of issues that have brought us to where we're at. But it's a wake up call locally and state, because that's really where it's going to take root and happen, is that we, on a local level and on a state level, realize the importance of agriculture. And William Jennings Bryan, Abbott Massey, who was a great friend of agriculture and promoted the poultry industry in this state, he used William Jennings Bryan's quote all the time, and it said, burn down your cities and leave our farms, and your cities will spring up again as if by magic. But destroy our farms, and the grass will grow in the street of every city. And there's so much truth to that, because when we can produce food and fiber, we can have economic development. But when we focus nothing but on economic development and forget the agricultural sector, then eventually, we'll see economic development just downturn, because
There's no sustainability.
There's no sustainability.
Yeah.
That's right.
If you can't feed yourself.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Ho, 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 White County. It is time for the Chamber's Christmas in the Mountains, presented by United Bankshares. Join us on Saturday, December 6th in downtown Cleveland for a day full of holiday cheer. Wander the holiday market on the square from 12 to 7, sip hot cocoa, find the perfect gifts, and soak up all of the festive magic. And at 6 p.m., the lighted parade will dazzle downtown with hundreds of thousands of sparkling Christmas lights. But that's not all. We've got even more merry surprises in store for you, so visit whitecountychamber.org/events to see everything we've got in store. Come celebrate the season with us and make some magical memories. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that our farmers and our ag-related businesses in White County are facing right now?
It's a great question. I think one of the biggest issues is the loss of farmland, because as urban sprawl continues to, we continue to experience that, we see a lot of loss in farmland and resources. And that is, so why are we losing it? Well, if agriculture was very lucrative and profitable, then you can afford to produce products on higher valued land, right? But unfortunately, we are in a commodity driven system that the farmer has no control over his inputs, and most of the time he has no control over what he's actually able to sell a product for. So with that being the case, that becomes a serious issue, because the profitability of farming is the profit margins are low, and so do you want, I have 3 children. I hope they'll come back to the farm at some point in time. But with that being said, and looking at profitability, and the farm has been well to us. Farmers sometimes can poor math, but it's still a viable industry, but it's a hard industry. It's a lot of hard work, and so we see when you have land prices at $18,000, $25,000 to $35,000 an acre. Then you can't farm sustainable. So what's happening? The poultry industry is heading east and south because you cannot justify building poultry houses on $35,000 an acre property.
You can't run cattle on $35,000.
Exactly, and so it doesn't cash flow. The ROI is not there. So with that being said, I think that's one of the largest challenges we face. So and I think because we're facing that, our communities face challenges, because if we continue to lose farmland, for instance, open land requires very little resources back and services from county government.
Right.
It doesn't require the infrastructure, the housing or industry, that require. So what happens is when we begin to grow and we don't have planned growth, we don't have growth that is controlled, then we're using more resources, so what happens? Our taxes go up, and
because you're providing more services.
Because we're having to provide more services, and people come, they love the landscape here,
the view,
but then they want all the services that they had wherever they came from. And that's something that we as communities need to make sure that we're growing and have some balanced growth, and that we have some protected areas. And it can't just happen on a local level. It's got to be some state initiatives. There's got to be some federal initiatives that go on to support this, and some networks that help young farmers to get in and engaged and to come into the industry, and for some families to say, okay, we're not going to be pressured and selling out at $35,000 an acre. We want this land to stay in production agriculture. And that's a commitment, because you're asking someone to take and sacrifice the potential income that they could get, in that moment. So there are certainly challenges, and I think that's one of the largest challenges. Was that the question? Challenges or opportunities?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges we have. But with that said, I think there are a lot of opportunities.
There are a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk about those?
Great.
Just like we're just gonna sit here and listen. You just go right ahead. But particularly for young. So you guys know me. My kids want to come home and farm too. So Gilbert and I face the same challenges. How do we strategically plan succession for our children to be able to farm? And for those kids who didn't grow up on a farm, because like you said earlier, there are so many people generationally removed from farming life, that's one of those skills you learn by doing. Right? Farming is a skill you learn by doing, and if you didn't grow up with that, it's a bit of a challenge to know. So what do you think the opportunities are, especially? We have some great young farmers out there. I'm looking at you, Chris and Paige Little. Great young farmers.
Yeah.
So what do you think are some opportunities for our young folks?
So I think the technology is one of the biggest opportunities we have, because it is amazing to see what is on the forefront, to be a young person and being in ag in 2025 and on, is the opportunities are out there of what's happening and what can be, and when I say that because I go back and I want to say, okay, but these challenges, economic challenges, and they're there, but to look to see what's ahead is, the challenges that are there for us, labor, for us land prices, as far as input costs,
like fertilizers.
Right. So there are always those challenges, but again, the farmer is one of the most resilient people I know. And so we have got to be just like the Georgia Bulldogs. And that second half, we have got to come back, and we have really got to look and keep our eyes fixed on the goal, and that is feeding a hungry world, right? So how do we do that? Well, the robotics industry is blowing up and what it can do for agriculture. So I've been in Moultrie for the last 2 days. While I was there, I stood and I witnessed tractors out in fields that were out there operating with no one operating them. So, so self-driving tractors that are out there, they're guided by GPS, and that are planting, that can plow, and that we're to a point almost now to harvest with, using AI and using GPS. So that's great. The other thing is the robotics. So I'll have the opportunity to serve on the North Georgia Technical College Board. Each year we go to our annual conference and we see what's happening, because the technical college system is working diligently to prepare a workforce for the next generation, right?
Yes.
And so we have an ag program at North Georgia Tech, but one of the things that we had at our conference last year is robotics in agriculture. So in our room, they bring in a robot that is about 5.5 feet tall. And he can walk, he has limbs, he has arms, and he is programmed to harvest. He's also programmed to go out and to look in and to scout fields. And he can utilize AI and drone technology and global satellites to scan fields, and then he can go and pull samples from those fields where there's a problem in those fields. So the technology that is there, and one of the biggest things we have, of course, now is labor in agriculture, and the issues that we have with labor and the labor workforce. So we have a lot of vineyards here. One of the things that is on the upcoming front is robots that can go out and do the pruning. That's very labor intensive. There's a lot of labor intensive jobs in agriculture. So that's one exciting factor, is to see the robotics and opportunity. So we're actually, I'm going 2 weeks back to Savannah this year, and they are going to have a robot there that is programmed to prune fruit trees. And so that's going to be, I'm excited to see that. So what we see there. The other thing is, and soil health is critical. We need to, farmers are the best environmentalists. And as we look at what is coming down the pipeline, we have learned so much in the last 20 years on how to get the cation exchange capacity in our soils back to where that soil is working for our favor and that plant's favor, and pulling up nutrients and reducing compaction in soil. So there's a lot of things regarding soil health that is coming down the pipeline that ultimately help increase yields. For instance, when I was a child, if you had 100 bushel corn, that was something.
That was big.
That was big time, and they had 100 bushel corn clubs. Well, of course, we work with farmers in 12 county area now, and I have a farmer last year. He won the state dry yield contest. So this is not irrigated fields. He is good. He does a great job with soil health. He has great bottomland, but his yield contest yields. On his yield contest fields, his yield was 328 bushels to the acre. So you see how we have, in my lifetime, and I don't think I'm that old, Beth, but anyway, in my lifetime, how we have seen production.
Did I say that? I didn't say that.
How we have seen production increase threefold almost. So those are exciting things that I see that are coming down the pipeline. The other thing is marketing. So how's it going to change here in White County? We're not seeing as many poultry houses built. We're not seeing we're losing acres. We're losing crop acres. But we're seeing young farmers who are coming in and they're taking and looking for marketing niches and they're going directly to the consumer with a consumer product. So they're not just focusing on that raw product, they're looking at processing and sending out a product that consumer is ready to utilize in their kitchen. And that's phenomenal. And we're seeing that across our state. Magnolia Loom, they take Georgia grown cotton and they process it into sheets, into t-shirts and garments. And again, in their 30s and really blowing and going there. Again, why? Because people want that connection of, I want Georgia grown cotton on my sheets. I want that higher quality. And so it's not for everybody, but those niche market operations, they're not going to feed the world, but they provide options and marketing options for citizens and consumers. So I think that is something we will see more of, and the potential that we can see more of in our area.
And the State Department of Agriculture has done an amazing job with the Georgia grown marketing and placement. I mean, you can buy foods at our local Ingles in the Georgia grown section. You can buy preserves that were Georgia grown in that section. Our friends at Unicorn Preserves have lots of options there. Geraldine's, I mean, you can get a lot of Georgia grown products here in White County. At Betty's, at your place, you got a ton of stuff that consumable at your place. So it is good. The state's done a really good job.
They have Gary Black, kudos to him, because he really stepped in and revamped the Georgia Grown program and has done a great job with it. And then under Tyler, they've actually just put in their first Georgia Grown retail location at Jekyll Island. So if you're at Jekyll Island, check out the Georgia Grown retail facility there. So and hopefully we'll see more of those pop up across the state too.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, I want to tweak the question that we had originally asked, because I think you touched on it a little bit, but we originally were going to, talk about why it's important for our business community to understand and support ag, but we have touched on that a little bit. So I think instead, would you share something that you wish people who are not directly related to ag through their business or through their family, what's something you wish that they understood about agriculture?
One thing that, again, is the economic value that it brings to the table when we're looking at our economy on a local level. When we're passing down the road and we say, okay, you pass by a poultry farm and say, oh, what is that whiff I get? But there's four poultry houses sitting there. At that one time, it's very feasible that there could be $1.5 million worth of birds just at that point in time in those four houses right there. So the economic input that one poultry farm, and here's the thing, that poultry farm doesn't take infrastructure requirements that we have to provide as a county. And I touched on this, but I didn't finish my thought, is that at one time we had a study done back in 2001 in neighboring Habersham County. University of Georgia School of Ecology came up. And at that time, it took, for residential developed land, it required $1.69 back in services for every dollar paid in taxes. Open land was in that, I can't remember exactly, but it's in that 65 to 70 cents is what it required. So what was happening was I was school board chair during that time and in Habersham County, and at that point in time, we were growing 250 and 300 students a year, that was an old Cornelia Elementary or an old Emerson Elementary. So we're building schools, and we're still paying for some of those schools that we're having to build back in 2007 and 2008. All that said, I think the message that I think needs to resonate is agriculture is important to balanced growth. And balanced growth is important to agriculture. And those two need to marry, and we as a community need to recognize that and realize it's not just about that. There's a guy I know right now that is out there, and he's going and buying up that their land's not for sale, but he goes and he solicits and he's buying up this farmland, and he's coming in and he's putting more affordable housing options on it. But what it's doing is it is really eroding the farmland markets, because what happens is not just taking the farmland out of production, but farm production, agriculture, and industry, they coexist very well together because they're both industries. Residential and production agriculture does not coexist very well because there's noise, there's air quality issues, there are all kind of issues that are associated with it. And yeah, you like to wake up and look at that green pasture as long as there's no litter that has been spread or the flies aren't there for the cattle, and so.
Yeah, you love to see our horses in a nice board fence. You don't
Right.
so much fun to see the 6 chicken houses
Yeah.
behind it, right?
So again, I guess go back to your question, is that we realize that we need to support each other, we need to collaborate, and we need a growth plan that supports agriculture, but also supports growing jobs for kids coming through our high school system. And I used to be, and I've changed my philosophy. So when I was on school board, I was like, we don't want kids leaving Habersham County. Mm-hmm. We don't want kids leaving White County. Mm-hmm. We want to keep all of our, and we do. But the reality is this, is our children are going to find their way, and they're going to look, and they're going to find their careers, and they're going to do that, and that's what I want them to do. And that's what we
you're
want
hurting
them
this
to do.
mama's heart who wants everybody to make
And that's what we want as parents. So we want to make sure that we've got economic opportunities in our local communities, but we're not tasked to keeping everyone here. And to bring in, because what's happening is this. We're seeing all across our state, we're bringing in new industries that are bringing in 8,500 jobs within 5 years. And I won't go in and call names, but here's this. Some of those communities that these plants are coming in they can't provide a workforce for that plant, and that facility is bringing in droves and droves and droves of folks, and county leadership has not looked about where infrastructure is at in those communities, how they can service, first of all, how they can service the facility, much less all the growth that's coming with that facility. So it really takes some critical thinking and communities in the chamber that are help maybe lead those discussions of how can we grow in a very sustainable way. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I ran around that.
No, I totally support that. I will say on behalf of particularly White County, City of Cleveland, and City of Helen, and you, Gilbert, thank you so much for participating in our Vision 2030 planning as we look at what the future lies ahead for White County. How do we adjust for all those variables that you talk about? And both the county governments and the city governments, if you look at where housing has been developed in White County since 2017, the greater portion of it has been within the city limits of Cleveland.
Yes.
Where there's already infrastructure, so that we don't have to add new, that we're not consuming farmland.
Right.
There were underdeveloped and undeveloped parcels within Cleveland that, working both with the county to say, we're not going to host the next 300 house Del Webb community. We're going to use what we have where we have it, and have been very strategic about who we ask to come and build in Cleveland, so they understand our people, understand our goals, and understand where we're heading. And it's really been significant that we've added as much housing product because of demand. The demand is there.
Yeah, sure.
Without consuming the farmland. So
and kudos to the chamber.
That took everybody
and everyone involved, because you can look at what has happened in the last 5 years here in Cleveland and the housing that's come in, and that the opportunities because what has that done is also helped service industries,
the downtown businesses.
I mean, it's phenomenal what we're seeing there, and we're not just continuing to sprawl it out. And
Because
that's
it can
true.
very easily
Yeah,
sprawl.
yeah, very well.
We looked at other communities
Yeah.
in Georgia that, some communities have 5-acre minimums for houses, and that just chops up farmland
Yeah.
if you have 5-acre minimums.
And then
So-
we have a county that's adjoining White County here, and they made an announcement last week that they're putting 780 houses on 83 acres. So can you
imagine?
You know,
And your school.
our homes,
Yeah.
and look what that is doing to a community. And look, it's in the erosion
Yeah,
that.
you look at our housing developments, like 14 here,
Yeah.
17 there, and not to detract from the community, those housing developments in Cleveland are all designed to add, based on where they're located, and that was the whole goal.
Yeah, sure.
But without the input that we had in 2019, and the studies that we did subsequently on what we were missing, we would not have been able to agree on a direction.
Right.
And it has been so many people pouring into this. The cities, new leadership in the cities, the County Economic Development Authority, the Water Authority, our farming communities had a big say in this. Our school system it was a lot of people that came to the table to make sure we were going in the right direction.
And that's so key, what you just hit on, because I have the opportunity to serve on Department of Community Affairs. We go to these communities across our state where we're seeing success in economic development. Economic development success, I've said this, and you've probably heard this, Beth, the common denominator for successful communities, and I'm not talking about just because they're just growing, I'm talking about a balanced community. What do you think the key factor is? I get asked a question now.
I feel like collaboration.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Working together, absolutely.
You go to a community where you don't have the school board, the city, the county commissioners, the chamber, the ag community, everybody
Your
working on
nonprofits,
this.
a lot. I mean, your
yeah,
churches.
Absolutely.
Because everyone has such a different,
Yeah.
they
Role.
see such a different side
Right.
of things.
That they've got a vision, they have a goal, and they're working toward it. And it's not just, is it going to benefit me, but is it going to benefit our community?
Yeah.
And so if we can, as a community, if we can continue to collaborate and say what is the best thing for our community as a whole, I think agriculture will be a part of this community
will.
forever. And so that is the key, because ag has to step to the plate and say, all right, we understand we're gonna grow. How can we support that growth and continue to have viable agricultural operations? So it goes back to collaboration. You're exactly right.
It really is. And it's a beautiful thing when it comes together. It
Yeah.
really is.
When
You get to
people
see that in
working
a lot of places. I didn't think
together.
about that.
Unity is key. That's biblical.
It is biblical. It is biblical.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, this wouldn't be Coffee Break with the Chamber Chicks if we didn't ask this question, which we're springing on him. We did not tell him.
Yeah.
So this is totally off the hip. What's your go-to coffee order?
Black.
See? Yay!
Regular
You're our
coffee, black.
we people joke all the time, like coffee is forever running out of this office. There's always coffee going. And when you came in, Sonia said, "Would you like a snack?" It's so funny, like people will tell us what their favorite snack is, so we keep it here. I'm
Okay.
so sorry, Clipper. You're probably mad that people aren't stopping to get their snacks because they're stopping by our office. But we love
Yeah.
for people to come in and just have that opportunity to listen
That's great.
and just be good neighbors.
Huh.
It's,
There's nothing that can't be solved over a cup of coffee,
right?
We
Or a good-
firmly agree.
Or a good biscuit.
Sometimes both.
Yeah. There you go, for sure.
Well, good.
Well, thank y'all for what y'all do
No,
for our
thanks for
community.
joining us.
And thank you for having me today.
It's
Great.
really good.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for joining us. It's Beth and Kayla, your favorite chamber chicks. And we will see you. Love you. Bye.